Hi, Internet viewers. This is Frank Rauscher again. In the last video, I showed you in the breast area where we had all these feathers in, like scallop feathers here. And then what I did is I came in with the bullet and I undercut it. And then I also came in with the bullet and rounded the back and dipped the front in on the leading edge. And I did that all the way down to the bottom, okay? And that's what I was asking you to do. And from about an inch from the beak down, not to touch anything up here, okay? And I'm going to show you how I treat that, and I'll show you on the video. I'm going to move the camera down so you can see that directly, okay? So bear with me and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Now, what I'm going to do, we had a groove that we put in here and over here off of the beak, and then we put those feathers in. So I'm going to start on that row right in here. I'm going to burn right up on, almost onto the beak, and I'm going to do this same technique I did on the head on this throat area here. So I'm going to burn in. Well, first I got to turn it on. That helps. And for anybody that wants to know, my setting on my burner is about 5. Sometimes it goes to 6, depending on if I want a darker burn. But that varies in every one, so don't make that your constant, okay? So I'm going to burn and flare out. And I'm trying to use the front edge of the feather as my leading edge, like that. Then I'm doing the next one behind it, and it's a burn deep and flip out as you go, and that's how I do it. I'm actually marking the whole feather out, but because of the technique, it leaves it light so you don't see the whole burn, and most of the heat is penetrating right on that leading edge. Now, if you put a space between it, you just can go back in there. And I flare. I go to the right and then to the left. And I do that. And I'm coming down in here. Okay. Let me turn that up just a little bit. Seems like either you get good electricity or bad electricity, I call it. I'm looking for a certain depth of burn as far as color. So I just about have everything where I want it. Now I'm going to come back up onto the beak, a little just before the beak, and flare out on these real little ones. All you're doing is putting some line work in there, not really flaring out too much, and I'm just getting the tip in. I don't know if you can see that well. This is hard. These are real little, so I just get the point in, and I flip around. And I've staggered these feathers. They're not like in a row like this grouping here. So these are what I call like there's no set pattern to it, but they're piggybacking somewhat off of each other. And I don't know how well you can see this. Let me get these up front here. And I try to go right up onto the beak without going on if I can. Getting pretty close. And the trick here is to get the point in so that you're not trying to lay this down. The one thing I like about this pen is it's like a knife blade and it's really thin, so I tend to really like these. These tend to really do nicely. And they're an Optiva pen, and it's a P12S. And I really like them. They do the job for me, and they get me into tight areas. When I'm doing flat art work with the burning unit, these are excellent as well. And then there's what they call shaders too, which actually, if you're doing something where it has a shadow to it, you can really make some neat effects with, it's actually a bent tip that goes down on a 45, and I'll have to do a video of that sometime to show you the techniques on how to wood burn and get different effects from it. I used to teach a class where I would do a bobcat's head, and we'd show you how to do the fur and everything else. So that's like the start of this burning, and I hope you're getting the full view of this. Again, I'm staying within the feather. Now here's that grouping coming down, so I start with the littlest guy up front, and I flare out. Then the next one down. Come around here. And then the next one. Now, as I said before, with this technique, you need to practice a little bit. It doesn't come right away, and I make it look easy, because I've done it before too many times. And I would say, practice, practice, practice. You'll get it. I've taught classes, many classes, and some people pick us up right away, and then some don't. So don't get discouraged, but it's just a technique that I like for marking out the bird. We actually paint these white, but a lot of this is ghosting through, and at least I try to when I paint, so that the markings that we're putting on here. I've had some students like the way the bird looks in without being painted, and they love it, just the way it is. It looks interesting to them. So I've had a few students just stop after they burn. They don't go and finish the bird with painting. So that's another thing that you could do. Excuse me. Still trying to get over a cold. So if I sound a little nasally, that's the reason why. Yeah. Okay. I almost have them all done. I'm going to stop just short of what I need to get to. I'm sorry. And I'm going to show you how to texture the rest of them that are raised. Now, I'm going to mention something to you that other carvers that I've known, and even on other YouTube carvers that are well known for their work, when they texture feathers on a bird with a stone, and that's what we're going to do now. I'm using, this happens to be a white stone, but you could use almost any color. This is a 400 grit, but I have them with it looks brown or green or blue. They come in different, and they're grits, and that's a 200 grit. This is a 400 grit. Any one of them will work well with you. it's a barrel. This happens to be a tapered one, and I use the edge on the corner, and I'm texturing using a 45-degree angle. I'm trying to use the edge of the barrel as like a V cut going in, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get into a rhythm where I start at the top, and I'm going to, just like we did with the burn, we come down the center with a stroke, and then I keep varying it to the left and varying it to the right, and I actually go past the feather line. I do not stop at the feather line of the feather. I actually go into the next one below it. So now there's a couple different approaches to this. Some like to do it from the bottom up, and they keep the markings within the feather itself. I'm going to stroke from the top, coming right on through, and I'm fanning it just like I am when I burn. I'm burning in the center and then out to the left and out to the right, and that's how I get that look. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this machine. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start here, right where there's a transition between the burn and the lift. So I'm actually coming down the center, and I'm pressing too, pretty good, to get those markings in there. So I'm leaning a little bit. So you have to figure out how much do you need to lean on this to get the look you're looking for. Okay. And what it does is, I don't know if you see it or not, it actually lowers this as I go. Okay, I'm going to, let me get into some bigger feathers here, and maybe you can see it. And since I did this the last time on the last video, I actually went back and used the ball a little bit more to get a little more depth, just a little bit, not much, before I came in and textured it like this. Okay, so, and again, I come down the center, I go to the left, and I go to the right, and I go past the feather line. So you're actually blowing right on through into the next. You know what, I'm going to do something here. I have these diamond wheels, and what I'm going to do, the stone sometime loses its edge, so I'm going to come in and just hit it on here to get a sharper edge. Okay, now let me try this again, see if we can't get a little more definition. So I'm going to the left, going to the right, and I'm doing each feather, but I'm blowing past the one I'm doing. I'm going below it. I'm going to do a big one here, so I hope you can see this. Now, if you have some rough spots in an area where maybe you weren't that, you didn't clean it out or something like that, this will level things for you. And that's the nice thing about it. You can go back over it and if you have an irregular, something that's not right, or it should have been cleaned up a little bit more, you can actually rake it out this way and get your texturing in. And this you're going to do all the way down to the end. So now, just so I can show you a little bit better on the camera here, I'm going to get my brush. You can do this with a toothbrush too, and I run this at a slower speed. And I'm just going to come in here and clean up what I did just for that little bit. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to move it around to the light. You're getting this textured effect, and you want to do that all the way down. And again, if I use a pencil rather than a bit, you're actually coming down the middle, and then you're flaring to the left, and you're flaring to the right with the stone. And this is a carbon silicate stone that we were using, okay? And I would recommend a 200 grit if you have it. If not, use what you have, and it'll all work out. But that's what you want to do all the way down. So, and you're starting from where you left off on the burn, okay? Coming down. This is just a transition point. This is from real soft to a lifting effect. So I want you to go and do that all the way down, and then I'll pick you up on the next video, and we'll show you. We're getting closer. We'll probably do the eyes, and we'll probably do these coverts in here, and I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so if you got something out of this, I'd ask you to give me a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate that too. And I'll see you on the next video. Just remember, complete all this with the texturing. Thank you. Bye now.